So hello guys. Hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. In our last video, we discussed the story of DENILSON and McAngel comedy. How DENILSON claimed that he was the one that started this multi-billion naira, or should we say multi-million dollar project business, the comedy business, and how McAngel hijacked it from him, took over the whole thing, sidelined him, and cheated him out of the business partnership. That video was quite a lot. If you haven't seen that video, it is a very insightful one. It is quite a lot. So go back and watch that video, because it is that video that necessitated this one. And if there is just one thing we learned from that video, it is the fact that all of this wahala, all of these kasalas, all of these podcasts and controversies and looming court case will not have been if only the parties involved had signed a contract. The truth is that so many of us are in DENILSON's position, languishing in that situation due to poverty, illiteracy, ignorance, desperation, and being at a disadvantaged position. And then we find ourselves sitting on a time bomb waiting to explode. In today's video, I will be educating us on so many vital things. Principles of a contract, how to protect yourself, what to do and what not to do. It's going to be a very enlightening and wholesome video. So if you're new here, you're seeing my face for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Just smash the thumbs up button right now. Drop your comments as we proceed, and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. Without further ado, let us proceed. Almost every day of our lives, we are going into contracts and out of them, even without us knowing. You approach a downfall bus and you see the conductor shouting, "Seleija Shaoshodi, Seleija Shaoshodi," and you hop into the bus. And the driver takes you to your destination. And when you are approaching your destination, you shout, "Driver, oh, wambe." And the driver pulls over and you come down. That is a contract executed. You cruise into a McDonald's drive-thru, you drive forward, you pick up a double cheeseburger, and you zoom off. That was a contract. So every day of our lives, at least almost every day, we enter valid, enforceable contracts without any verbal, written, or express agreements, and the law recognizes that. So then I'm sure you would ask, what is a contract? Barrister Neze, you have come again. Are you telling me that they can take me to court and sue me when I did not sign anything? Yes. You say waiting, I say yes. So I'm sure you are like, Neze, tell me, Peperempe, what is a contract? What do we need to know? Let us prepare ourselves to avoid had I known. I'll tell you. A contract can be defined as a legally binding agreement between two people or more, which creates legal rights and obligations and are enforceable by law. Shikina. That is the definition, simply put, of a contract. Now there are different types of contracts. So, Iboku or dinudi. First, the formal versus the simple contracts. The formal contract is mostly the type that we have, the very, very serious one. Tenancy agreement, you sign, formal contract. You buy a property, you execute a deed of lease. Those are formal contracts. They must be executed, meaning they must be signed and if needed, sealed. While a simple contract need not be signed or sealed. Secondly, we have the express contract versus the implied contract. Express contract, as the name implies, is the type that is expressly written. Koro, you are seeing the terms and conditions. Koro in paper. It is express, clear, unambiguous, unequivocal, clear for all Koro eyes to see. that is express contract. Then we have the implied one, which the terms were not expressly written, but due to one thing or the other, maybe conduct of the parties, the court would infer that that contract exists. So it is implied because of how you have behaved or how you have positioned yourself. You cannot now come and say, oh, there was no contract between us, but you were, why did you do this? The court would infer. And lastly, we have the unilateral stroke bilateral contracts. Bi, between you and another person, two people, while unilateral is between many people. Yes, there can be contracts between many people, 1,000 people. Yes. So now that we know what a contract is and the types of contracts, the next thing that we need to know are the elements of a contract. What must a contract possess before it can be deemed to be a contract? Because you might say this is contract, but according to law, this is child's play. You are doing 10. Nothing exists between both of you, but in your mind you think it is contract. Mba, because you do not know the elements of contract. There are elements that must form up a valid contract, because formation of a contract is not always as straightforward as you may think. One person might think that the contract exists and the contract does not exist, while another person might think that the contract does not exist while it in fact does exist. Just as we have on our plates the case of Mark Angel and DENILSON. So we must be aware what constitutes a proper formation of a contract. 1, an offer. An offer is defined as a definite undertaking by one person with the intention that it becomes binding on him or her once the other person accepts. So if I come to you now, that's why it's called offer letter. When you get employment, if I come to you and I write, you will do this work, you will do this, and I will pay you this, I am offering you. That is an offer. Very important. That's the number 1 in every contract. I submit it, and once that person accepts, it becomes binding on me. An offer can either be express or implied. Please, for the avoidance of doubts, always make it express. 2, acceptance. When they give you something, sure you go take. That taking is acceptance, and it forms a very integral part of any valid contract. So this, simply put, is agreeing to the terms of the offer. It can be by signing, it can be verbal, it can also be by conduct. Yes. For example, if I give you an offer of employment to come and work in my house, to come and farm, to come and cook, and I give you an offer, you do not sign, but you move in. You start wearing my staff uniform. You start carrying out all the responsibilities that that staff is supposed to carry. At the end of the month, you receive the salary. You have accepted that offer by conduct. 3, the third ingredient that must form a contract is consideration. What does that person stand to? What is he gaining from that agreement? Is there gain? It shouldn't be free, except it is expressly written that this is a free thing, no? But typically, a contract must have consideration. It can be by form of remuneration, benefits, money, salary. It can be via interests, profits, rights. An agreement without consideration is not a contract, save for some few exceptions. But I don't want to start going too deep into the exceptions. The law of contracts is so deep and broad that if I start explaining all the exceptions, this video will be 3 hours long and we will not finish. So let me not bust your brain, let me not scatter your dada. Let us just keep the exceptions to the side. Besides, this is not legal advice. This is just a conversation. If you want deep, detailed legal advice, please consult the services of a lawyer. Or if you need further assistance perusing the documents or drafting a contract, please seek the services of a lawyer so they can explain in deeper details. All right, so let's proceed. The next thing I would like to point out is what makes a contract void or voidable or unenforceable. Like a situation where both of you have agreed, though, in quotes, and signed. You guys have agreed, you've signed, but yet that contract cannot be enforced anywhere. It is as useless as if nothing happened between you. what can make such a thing happen. It is called what are the vitiating elements of a contract. What vitiates a contract? One, the very first vitiating element of a contract is mistake. A mistake refers to when one or both parties of a contract are allowed to repudiate the contract, that's to cancel the contract, on account that some state of facts existed that they did not know, and if they were aware of, they would not have entered the contract. Now, do not get me wrong. Legally speaking, the concept of mistake in law is much more narrow, is narrower than what a layman may understand the mistake to be. The law is not going to protect you if you fail in your responsibility to read the details of a contract that were expressly written. That's your problem. That's not mistake. So what may be considered mistake to you may most likely not be considered mistake in law. Oga, I beg, sorry, I know see this part. That is not mistake. Let me give you an example of mistake. You and I enter into a contract that I am going to purchase your horse, and we are both at work, only for you to go home and discover that that horse is dead. So the subject of the contract didn't exist, and we were under the impression, both of us, that it existed, and it was under that impression that we both entered the contract. That contract can be repudiated on the ground of mistake. But if we sign and then I go to the stable and I find out that the horse is old or sick, that is not mistake. Especially if you did not represent it to me that the horse is young and healthy. There was no misrepresentation. You just told me a horse and I agreed. If I go and I see an old horse, I cannot come under the ground that it is mistake. If I knew it was old, I signed because I thought it was wrong. That is not mistake. This is just an example. The second vitiating element that will make a contract to be dead, voidable, unenforceable is misrepresentation. It is a very crucial part of the law of contracts. Misrepresentation involves false, inaccurate information that was represented in the course of going into that contract, during the course of negotiations for that contract. False, inaccurately presented facts. That is misrepresentation. So relaying it back to this example of the horse, assuming I told you, this horse, na bobo, the horse is just 4 weeks old, it's a strong horse, brand new, nothing is wrong with the horse. And then later on I find out that the horse is sick and frail, then you misrepresented facts, and that is the ground upon which I can choose to rescind from the contract. So if you want to buy something now and they tell you this television, oh, it is 70 inches, it is this, it has HDMI, and it isn't, then the contract was entered into on the grounds of misrepresented facts, and that is the ground to rescind the contract. 3. Duress or undue influence. Very significant element. No contract made under duress is enforceable. What is duress? Duress involves compelling a party through force or threats or similar fashions, and it is voidable at the instance of that party that was threatened. So when I say at the instance of the threatened party, I don't mean if you threaten me to sign contract, then you are the one that threatens and say, I don't want the contract again because me, I threaten her. Oga, you want to eat your cake and have it. It is the person that suffered the threats that it becomes voidable at the instance of. Undue influence, on the other hand, is different from duress. Duress, there's force, there's threat, there's shine eye, like you dey mad, you dey crazy. If you don't do them like this, I go just kill you now. I go release your nudes. I go beat you. But undue influence is not force per se. It is subtle cajolement. How do we put it? Okay, let me explain better. Undue influence is when a dominant party takes advantage of a special relationship to persuade a weaker party to get into a contract. That's undue influence, because that weaker party is in a position where they do not have a choice, more or less. They can't say no to that dominant party. So when the MD of a company, uses undue influence on her secretary to sign a contract, that secretary can get that contract void because of undue influence. Of course, if he or she can prove it, because this doesn't invalidate any contracts that such people hold, but when it can be shown that this contract was not entered via my free will, it was unduly influenced on me, it was an undue influence, then it now becomes a vitiating element. 4. Capacity. It is not everybody that has the capacity to enter contract. Are you aware? Even if that person signed and agreed, the law will refuse to enforce it because that person lacks capacity. Can you guess an example? Of course, first and foremost, any contract entered into by a minor is unenforceable, it's nonsense, except the minor was represented through their legal guardian or their legal representative. But you one-on-one sign with a minor, you're wasting your time. People with mental impairments, the law deems them as lacking legal competence to engage in any agreement. Schizophrenics, lunatics, those suffering from Alzheimer's diseases, intense mental challenges. No contract is binding with such people except through other people. 5. Illegality. The 5th vitiating element of a contract that will make a contract rubbish is illegality. Of course, it is a general principle of law that you cannot enforce an illegality. Any contract that is illegal or contrary to public policy cannot hold water. So you have a contract with Mama Juliet to help you gather 16 girls to be moved to Italy. Not Italy, Italy. So that is how they call it. 16 young girls to be transported to Italy. You see, Baba Romeo refused to provide the girls. He only provided 10. He has broken the contract. You and that's your papa, so people will go to prison together. And illegal contracts cannot be enforced. It's rubbish. And lastly, unconscionability is the last vitiating element. Listen to this one very carefully, because this our friend here, Mr. DENILSON, might consider coming under this one. What is unconscionability? Unconscionability serves as a significant vitiating factor in contract law, referring to contracts that are extremely one-sided and shockingly unfair to one party. Such contracts take advantage of the disadvantaged party's vulnerable position, lack of bargaining power, or limited understanding of the terms. Identifying unconscionability involves examining the contract's terms and circumstances to assess whether one party was subject to oppression, undue influence, or unfair terms that undermine the principles of good faith and fair dealing. So this is an equitable ground. It deals with equity, good conscience. Hey, yeah, let us consider. Let us not allow this man, because he has more power, he has more authority, he knows more, he has everything. Let us not allow him to to wicked this smaller one that does not know anything. Unconscionability. So, given the circumstances of Markangel and DENILSON, do you think that DENILSON would have a case under this particular vitiating factor, where he went to sign off his birthrights, that that he would not have anything to do with the company? He hands off, he's an employee, they have overpaid him, everything he signed there. Do you think that he can make a case, or his barristers can make a case under this vitiating element of unconscionability? Do drop your thoughts down in the comment section. So this is a short video, well, not too short, but it is time for me to stop. I did not want to go so deep. I just wanted to give us a surface knowledge of the law of contract, a background. As time goes on, as more stories, real life stories come up, I would always infuse all these laws in to give you guys solid enlightenment, because I know that you trust me to always do that. This whole case just threw me back to some time ago when two of my brothers were trying to establish a business, and my mother called them. My mother, very enlightened, educated, and very wise woman, she called her two sons and said, both of you should write a contract. Define the terms of your business. Who does what and who doesn't do what? What is the sharing quota? Who is the owner and who is the partner? Define everything about the business write it and agree. Come together and agree so you guys can know what you're doing. You see, they say money is a spirit, but I'm not even going to call it a spirit. I would say money is that factor that unmasks people. When money is involved, then you see the true characters of people, the true behaviors of people. Money can ruin friendships. It can ruin relationship between brothers. It can create animosity between brothers. Look at what is happening with P Square. Peter Okoye of P Square went to EFCC, not police, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, GOGO, to file a fraudulent claim against his elder brother. So if the EFCC takes it up, both of them can spend decades in prison. So money can create enmity, different levels of enmity between brothers, between relatives, between friends, between colleagues, between business partners. How do we avert this needless bad blood? Is by documenting it. Is by writing a contract. Because that person that is laughing with you and you are laughing with, they will not be laughing when he read. Also, when he starts, you will not see that laugh in his mouth though. You will see his true color. His true color will come out. So, please, in your interest and in the interest of the next person, do not be offended if someone you are doing business with comes and says, let us formalize what we are doing. Let us sign a contract. Let us have a memorandum of understanding, an MOU. Let us document. Let us call a lawyer to define everything. Don't be offended. Hey, you don't trust me? Has he gotten to lawyer between us? Has he gotten to signing between us? Don't be. It is in your own best interest to avoid future turmoils, battles, and needless litigation. So, I do hope you have picked a thing or two from this video. If you have, drop in the comment section and say Neze I have, and give this video a very, very big thumbs up. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're new here, seen my face for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, drop all your comments down in the comment section, and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye. Mwah.